Morning, everybody. I'm gonna give that minute to let people log on. I'm tired. What a evening that I had forum here this morning. I had to be up at the butt crack, so I didn't get much sleep, and it was absolute garbage. I sat through an hour of literal garbage, regurgitation. See, people are logging on. Hi, everybody. People are coming on. It's early for me, but well, everybody, we're going to talk about Pierre-Paul Huet to start with. What I put out last night. Insiders tell me it's Ed Fast who's taking the number one position of the party next to O'Toole, finance minister. For those of you who don't know, Ed Fast, Stephen Harper are the ones who created our China problems that we're facing today. Not Trudeau. I hate Trudeau too. But the reality is, and I put this out lots, absolutely 2012, Ed Fast was the minister internationally who him and Harper crafted the China 31-year Canada deal, buying into Canada, getting into Canada so deeply, into all of our institutions, academics, all of our companies, and everything else. The reports we're seeing today by the spy agency, this was the open door that was absolutely done by Harper and Ed Fast, who's now going to be sitting next to O'Toole in the head position. If you don't realize, everybody, go look at his page in BC right now. Don't like it, go look at it. He has about as much followers as me. This is a long-time elected official. This is how unliked he really is. Why Aaron O'Toole would move him into that critical position only spells one thing, you guys. And nobody can take anything else. Conservatives still clinging to that same hope. The same hope that those Republicans for Trump, when it's clearly over, Trump's gone. And it's not that I'm trying to be mean all the time. It's called facing facts, facing reality. Maxime Bernier, Derek Sloan, there's others too, but let's just focus on the big names. You guys, when you hear it, it snaps, it clicks. I've went through their whole history. I was a CPC long-time member. I always watch exactly what's going on. I said O'Toole was garbage. His 2015 rollout for leadership against Maxime Bernier and against Andrew Scheer, it was very clear to me, and anyone who takes conservative politics seriously, Aaron O'Toole was an absolute red Tory. Worse than people accuse Peter MacKay of. Honestly, that's the truth. At least Peter MacKay is honest about it. He's honest about it. He campaigned on the truth. Aaron O'Toole told you all he was some kind of super blue machine. And I'm going to tell you, just like Jason Kenney, who worked for Ralph Goodale Liberal Party, you don't go radical liberal to all of a sudden ultimate super conservative. You just don't. And why people think that somehow it's like saying, oh, a guy who's a homosexual is now all of a sudden a heterosexual. It's not like that, right? Like, and I'm using that comparative analysis because it's true. Ask any homosexual or any heterosexual. You don't flip-flop. It's something generally people are born with. They grow into. That's what it is. There may be some psychological reasons, but that's reality. Whether people want to hear it or not, it's the same as politics. People have mindsets. Yes, over the years we grow and change, but there's limits to that change. People who embrace serious left policies never ever go all of a sudden extreme right. It just doesn't happen. You don't become all of a sudden, oh, I'm Mr. Physically Conservative. They don't. They're hiding their true nature, embedding themselves like many predators. That's what this is about. Predators. That's what we're talking about. Aaron O'Toole is an opportunist. Worse than Kenny. Even worse, because at least I can say, well, it's so many years ago, more than 20 years ago, Albertans just don't know. It wasn't put out there and the Conservatives really hit it. I can give that. But when we look at Aaron O'Toole, we're talking just 2 terms ago, which is only a 5-year, 6-year period here, everybody. And Aaron O'Toole was ultimate left, liberalized agenda, screaming liberal, and he came in last place. Everybody, what do you think? That in all of a sudden, oh, geez, I found my soul. I'm not a liberal anymore. I'm a die-hard conservative. It's a lie. It's because politicians can campaign and lie to you. If they have no morals and no scruples, they are allowed to legally tell you anything they want to tell you. And when you catch somebody, even as a politician, in a series of small fibs or medium-sized fibs, these are giant red flags because the person is already a habitual liar. And once they get into the process of lying, it's institutionalized within them. And at Aaron O'Toole's age, he's never going to change. In fact, he's made a lifetime commitment career to being a bold-faced liar. And if you want anyone who's a real conservative, you look at his 2015 platform, you look at what he rolled out here to get leadership, and they're 2 different things. One's here, one's there. Are you telling me in 6 years he found a light bulb? No. And we're seeing it today. Pierre Poilievre got too big for his britches. He spouted off. I posted a post, several different kinds of posts to make people realize, and I hope people share this out, get it out, because it's absolutely imperative that you start looking at politicians for their absolute accountability and honesty in track record. Because if they can't be honest within a year period, you catch them lying a couple times, that's a red flag. They gotta go. You should never ever put your support behind them. Further, I'm going to go into, so that's my rant today. Pierre Poilievre has been knocked down quite a few notches. Finance minister goes into all the terms and definitions that they've now applied to him as jobs and industry. That's his new critic position. Well, guess what? That's 2 roles of the financial portfolio of a would-be financial minister. So he's just lost like 10 of his portfolio components because he's been demoted, everybody. Considerably demoted. And people are saying to me, oh, he's going to have a strong voice, or, oh, sure he will, but you're not going to hear about the globalist agenda anymore. He's going to have to stay with the socialist agenda. He has to only look at the one side of the equation because he's steered too far into teaching all of you absolutely about both sides. I watched the change. I watched Pierre start talking about the bankers, the Bank of Canada, the corruption of the money, going after Chrystia Freeland, highlighting all these serious issues. He was building up a big following and getting lots of people on board. And you know what happened? Crack, there goes the legs. Sorry, Pierre, you've upset our party stakeholders and handlers. You gotta go this way. You're over here now. Figure it out. That's what's happened. He brought forward a man from BC who is absolutely pro-China. Absolutely. Do you know conservatives or anybody watching anyway? I know this for a fact. And every registered conservative long time for CPC, let's go into this one. Remember how we all had our say in the China deal? 72%. No way. And that was across Canada, by the way. 72% back in 2011. No freaking way. And you know what? Fast and Harper signed it anyway. Went on and it cemented a 31-year deal. Everybody forgets from 2012 to now. That's how fast and sharp the memory is of the average voter. You forget. Party insiders, you forget. I don't forget. Unfortunately, it's one of those things. I'm stuck with it. So when I look at people, I just go, ugh. And I look at their face and I just hate their guts. And it's really hard for me because I never forget these things. And it moves forward with me throughout the years. And that name, that guy, this is what he did. Oh boy. and it didn't work out. It didn't work out at all well for Canada. Not in the least bit. We're in bad shape now. And that is absolutely everything to do with Stephen Harper and FAST. And now he's going to be head minister in that caucus. That's his shadow cabinet position. Right next door to his good friend Aaron O'Toole, the Liberal, the Red Tory. And no one wants to believe it, I guess. They don't realize that this is absolute reality. So I was up late doing all that, extremely tired this morning. Boom, my alerts. Oh, geez, I almost forgot. And I was really excited about it. The IMF, International Monetary Fund, big organization. I've waited for my one-on-one with their chief economist. Oh, yeah, dictated to, chat function disabled, no video, no audio. Another, just like World Economic Forum, dictate, dictate, dictate. Now I go, Canadians, Albertans, I go all over the world. I've been doing this for a year. I've been in most of the highest universities in many, many countries. I've explored so much beyond in law, way outside my scope, but I read. I've met so many academics, hundreds of the world's top academics. I have a good group of about 70 out of all of that. To be honest, just like this 70% of the world is a civil law, socialist style autocracy, well, guess what? That's kind of the academia too. So it's 30%, which for me is a terrific number anyway. Before I was sitting down at the 10%, but I've come forward with about 70 world experts now, high-ranking, high publications, real people from all over the world in different jurisdictions and different government systems. Some, have done amazing things. You get to learn about constitutionalism. You get to learn about their economics. And I'm going to be very happy to start incorporating that in my new party. And unfortunately today, I didn't, you don't really know until you actually live it. And it took me a long time, same as World Economic Forum, Davos, bad, terrible disappointment to invest all that time, energy, study, and then get on that stage and just to go, oh my God, is this what it really is? A disgusting joke. Well, that was IMF today too. So I'm upset, I'm disappointed, obviously, right? I was looking for a very, very strong world academic, and all I got was a shameful human being. I would say an embarrassment to Harvard Economics, their alumni. I would say it's an embarrassment to the Ruth School of Business, an absolute embarrassment to that alumni. I have seen pathetic, obviously lots of it, but this one takes the cake. And her position, obviously, she's quite a bit younger than me. She's got multiple degrees and, of course, doctorates. So, and I know this kind of academic too. This is the one that spent a lifetime in school, 18 years old. Mommy and daddy, rich parents, put him in school. Now, maybe she racked up student loans or whatever, but she was too afraid to get out on the world stage and actually apply her mind. And you know what? She stayed in school, degree after degree, mastering this, and then, I'm going to make this a doctorate. I'm going to moving all over the world to different schools. She lives in Cairo now, and she's the chief economist for IMF. And she's a joke, just a student kid, clearly in her 30s, pathetically socialism, completely absorbed, clearly see scripted, all programmed, all the questions the moderator's asking, it's all, what do you think, like a robot, and it's, these are fresh questions from the audience. It's all scripted. None of us were allowed any kind of put forward or direct one-on-one to really critique anything. And that's a real measure of an institution's strength, how good it is by how democratic it is. And when it's not open and transparent and not democratic, like our NDP right now, actually, UCP too. I'm barred all through there too. So these are the problems we're having. CPC's the same way under O'Toole. He will not do half as much as what Andrew Scheer did. Andrew Scheer would take the one-on-ones. He put himself out there, even in the negativity. It's really sad. There is no good thing going forward here. Real disappointment with the IMF, another organization I won't be going forward with, or any academics from any of the big institutions attached to that, which is economics, guys. To be honest, I am lacking with economic experts. I have tremendous policy, tremendous law experts worldwide, but I'm really lacking in my field, which is something I really want these people. And that one I do find, it's kind of like the Jack Mintz, where we're down in a 10% of economists. We're the 10% small group where we don't get big followings and we don't get out there because we go against 90% of the grain. But it's so hard when you compare history, policy, law, and you start looking at economics. You have to change your narrative. And then the world economics, you look at these academics and they don't want to look at the other side. No, I don't want to hear that. Oh no, I'm just going to work on my formulas. It's like, that's great. I love the formulas too, but if the formula leads you to one narrative every time in history, and I show you, hey, this is how that formula you're using works out. That's how it's worked out 6 times in the last 120 years. 2 of those were world wars. Do you see the formula? That's the one you're using and you're selling today. And they just go, no, that's not how it works. Like, how can you ignore the history, the policy, the clear legal side of the equation? You can't do that. You can't just present a formula. Well, I learned it. It's been established. Well, it didn't work out. It hasn't worked out considerable amount of times. That's 90% of economists out there. It's truly terrifying, everybody. And they don't want to bend. They stick with their formulas, and they don't care how those formulas have historically worked out. That's a fact. So I am having trouble securing economists. I'd like a lot more. It's not the end-all and be-all. Maybe it won't be. And then the ones that I can secure kind of pigeonhole themselves in political narratives to kind of keep themselves safe. And I understand that. That's why I want to build this federal party, everybody. And that's the last thing we're going to talk about this morning. It's why I'm doing the Canadian Constitutionalist Party. It's absolutely to effect change on the federal, provincial, and would-be independent nations if a province or territory can't get that federal change that we absolutely need. These things have to be addressed. Somebody has to go out there and do it. And unfortunately, in the Canadian autocratic system, I'm tired this morning, I'm going to have a nap. But in the Canadian autocratic system we are in, everybody, there is no change, and you can build a party. I was getting criticism from a long-time follower, like, oh, what happened? If you know everything, what happened to your party? Well, you know what? I am learning as I go too, everything I do. And at least, everybody, I can admit my faults or failures or experiences. I have no qualms with that. I'll always tell you all, as it is, my limits. And you know what? I didn't know the political system. And to be fair, none of you do. None of you do. Even most of the politicians alive and well today, over all these decades, don't even know the political system, because there is only a handful of us in Canada who've actually built a party from scratch. And when you do it in a province, especially a province like Alberta, you really got to go into some serious detail, and you learn as much as you're willing to put in when these things come accessible to you. When you run for a position like Premier with a majority government, you start to really get into absolutely the inner workings of the political structure. Hands on. And I did. I had more board meetings with Elections Alberta here in Alberta, probably than any other leader ever. They got a real kick out of me in the period because I just strive for knowledge, learn, excel, grow. I did that. I learned the system, and by the time registration and all the official rules came in, I realized Canada is absolutely broken, and this autocracy is going to exist, party after party after party. Albertans, Canadians, there is no way out of this until somebody comes forward ready to dismember the Canadian Constitution and build a party based on that. Build a federal party that gives to all the provincial parties the ability to design a provincial constitution for you, the people. This is the only viable path forward, and really the only way all Canadians and every jurisdiction in Alberta, provincially or territorial, can get the satisfaction of making real change. Codifying rules of how politicians and elected officials, your public servants, function in real codified rules. That entirely does not exist in Canada or absolutely in any province whatsoever. Never has. We are a constitutional monarchy, they call it. A fancy word for an absolute civil law socialist. For all the things they run Putin down about, he has only adopted in recent time, just over last year, all systems Canada. That's what he's done. He's just changed the name and the wording, but he's implementing that autocracy that they have learned from Canada's system of constitutional monarchy. That's reality. Canadians, Albertans, you are in a serious autocratic system. All parties will always be corrupted to it. It's why they lie. They're legally allowed to lie. There is absolutely no rules or law to stop them from lying. They can, what is clearly fraud or clearly money laundering out of people, they clearly do it, and it's not illegal for political parties. They can lie to you, steal the money from you, get money out of you, and send it out for anything they wish, and never be accountable for you. And a lot of people don't vote, don't get involved in politics anymore, because over the years they went through it, and they said, never again. I'm done. The system's broken. I'm just going to surf the waves and hope for the best. That's the reality of a lot of Canadians. A lot of voters, Canada-wide, never vote, never will vote, and want nothing to do with the political system. Disenfranchised. Why? Because of the absolute autocracy, the absolute breach of faith, trust, and respect for the institution, because it is flawed and broken. Absolute autocracy. That's the truth. Anyways, everybody, thanks for joining me this morning. Share it out there. It's an important video. Pierre-Paul Ver, I say wake up. I get it. You want to stick with the big salary. It's a great way to raise a family. You're over $200K a year in an actual cabinet position. Right now, you're enjoying that $176,000 bonus and perks for whatever extras you do, all the expenses. I get it. I get why you won't leave, and you're not going to leave, and you'll take the lumps. But the reality is people are going to wake up to it and wonder, why do you, Michelle Rempel, and so many others continue going with the flow? And at some point, people are going to start saying, are you part of the problem, Pierre? Are you corrupted? Are you learning to be just as corrupt as the party you're in, led by the most corrupt of them all, Aaron O'Toole? Are you going to become just as bad as him eventually? Because you're taking it right now? Well, I got to take care of my family. I'll just go with the flow, and I'll let those lies slide. I'll let it go. Derek Sloan did. Everybody saw it. If you guys have been paying attention, I went back, and he fought to get back like they all do. No, I'm sorry, don't kick me out. I want to be in the party. Until he finds out he's absolutely booted out. Now he's strong, he's in a different coalition, but the reality is, you would have done anything to get back into that autocracy. You wanted that. You didn't want to be on the outside of it. Not that these are things, everybody. That's what the party system builds. This is how it works in Canada and every province and territory. It's a sick system that relies on the morality of absolutely the leader. And we can't have that because 8 out of 10 people will turn their backs on morality. Just hand them a little bit of money and they'll do it. That's 8 out of 10 people, sorry to tell you. But you all know this just in the lives you lead. Thanks, everybody. Share, get it out there.